The New Jersey Devils defeat the Islanders 4-0. Our first shutout of the year. Do you believe it? We dive in to what was a great game compared to what we saw last night. Coming up right now. Oh, yeah, sweet victory for the New Jersey Devils, winning 4-0 against the Islanders on Long Island. Where the hell has this team been, man? Like, what is going on? What did we not see last night that we had to see a game like this? I feel like it sucks the energy out of the fan base when we go in and we shut out our first shutout of the year against an Islander team who desperately needs points as well. So it's crazy. It's a tale of two nights, right? We have been terrible on back-to-backs, the second half of back-to-backs, and we come in to the island and we dominate. The first period was, I would say, very, very evenly matched in that first period. The second period, again, we dominate very similarly to when we played the Winnipeg Jets. So it's the story of the season, the inconsistency of this team, but to see us dominate the way we did tonight, let's dive in first. Just seeing the goal scorers. Again, we see Jack Hughes flying all over the ice, scoring that goal. We see Timo Meier just being Timo Meier the last month. He has turned it on. We think he's healthy. It looks like he is healthy. And he's just so confident in the player he is right now and has unleashed this potential that we knew he had. You know, it's a lot of fans were getting on Timo about the contract, about the extension. That was it a mistake? And we're seeing now that it absolutely wasn't. Timo is being Timo, and the Gordie Howe hat trick with a goal, an assist, and a fight. And we're going to get into that fight. You love to see it. Nico getting hit by Anders Lee there, a knee-to-knee, match penalty for Lee. And Timo steps right up, and he steps right into it. And something that's bothered me for a while now is the mandatory 10-minute misconduct. You know, when your teammate jumps in to protect your other teammate that is injured, especially after an illegal hit. I hate that rule by the NHL. You know, I wish it wasn't what it is. I understand the 2-minute instigator, but we'll dive into that in a little bit. But again, the second period was absolutely phenomenal from the Devils, you know, going up 3 goals. It's what you want to see. And going into that third period to gain on that lead to make it 4-0, and the Devils shut it down defensively. Kaapo Kähkönen shutting down the Islanders, and you would never think the beginning of this year that our first shutout would be this far into the season and it wouldn't be from Vitek or Akira Schmid. It is pretty insane how this season has turned out. And to win this game 4-0 against an Islanders team that we're trailing now by 1 point, 5 points out of a playoff spot behind the Capitals. And if that lead holds up and the Flyers lose, we'll be 6 points out of third. But listen, I think we all know it's going to be extremely difficult unless we go on, you know, a streak where we're 8-1-1 at minimum to get into the playoffs. And that's not even guaranteed. We need a lot of things to happen for that. But, you know, just to have more life and to be able to continue the season with that chance, we're not mathematically eliminated. We got to keep playing hard. It's what this team has to do. We talked about it from the jump. You know, was the coaching staff to blame? Was Fitz to blame, you know, at the beginning of the year for what's gone on? But, you know, when we look at the game in its entirety today, the fact that we dominate the way we did on a back-to-back, the latter half of a back-to-back, was the most impressive thing for me. More so the fact that we played last night at 7 o'clock and the Islanders played at 1. So, you know, those are things I'm looking at. I thought the Devils were going to have a little bit of tired legs in the third, and they were the dominant team. So that to me is impressive. We talk about Holtz a lot, you know, on this podcast, and all Devils fans have talked about Holtz a lot on this podcast. So it's really good to see him score goals. It's really good to see him get involved offensively. I look for the other intangibles that he needs to bring, the different things around the boards, the defensive play, the back checking. He was a hell of a lot better tonight than he was against Ottawa last night. But the team in its entirety was way better tonight than it was last night. So, you know, there's a lot of good things to look at Holtz. He's a very good player. He has a very smart offensive IQ. However, I'm still on that page that he has a lot to learn with this 200-foot game. I think he will learn. I think we all know that he is going to be the biggest trade target from a lot of other GMs around the league, and he might be moved this offseason. But we have to we have to just think that he's going to be on this team right now, right? It's we have to assume if he goes into next year that he has a lot to learn, and all these players have different learning curves with the different coaching staffs. I'd love to see him unleashed with a different type of coach. And listen, he might not be doing it in a Devils uniform. He might be doing it somewhere else. But the kid has a lot to learn. He is growing, and you love to see him have a bounce back game compared to what he did last night. And John Marino as well. John Marino was pretty bad last night. I think we can all agree that he had a pretty rough game coming back from injury. So appreciate all you guys jumping on here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. So you're telling me there's a chance, Jerome? There's still a chance, man. Listen, we're not mathematically eliminated, so there's always going to be a chance until there isn't, right? Until we cannot get into the playoffs at all. So we'll see what happens. It's a long shot. We talk about it. A lot of things need to happen with other teams, not just us. We have to handle our business. Playing sports for a lot of my life and just knowing how sports are, a lot of crazier things have happened. But for the Devils, you just have to go in. You have to handle your business every game. That's how it's going to be for each game down the stretch here, with 10 games remaining now. We got a lot of work to do, and like I said, we go 8-1-1. There's a shot. I haven't seen a playoff team under 90 points in a while in the NHL. We'll see what happens. But we just got to keep trucking along, right? We just got to keep playing. We have to keep improving. And Kakinen, hats off to him. 37 saves tonight. Absolutely incredible for our first shutout of the year. And listen, this guy's playing for a contract. He's an unrestricted free agent. So, he has a lot to prove just for himself as well. So, jumping into this comment, yeah, Kappa was a stud, and you love to see it because he was off for 8 days. He got pulled in his last start, after 3 goals on 15 shots in 1 period. Came back and was absolutely dominant. There was a lot of shots that were blocked by the Devils. We'll get into how the defense looked tonight. There was a lot of perimeter shooting for the Islanders as well. So he didn't face necessarily those crazy high scoring chances that you'd see against the team like on Tuesday against the Maple Leafs. But he was strong. He was really strong. He made some incredible saves tonight. And I'm sure his above expected goals were probably around the 2 mark. I think that he saved a couple that definitely could have went in, and this could have been a very different looking game. Some standout stars to me that weren't on the scoring sheet tonight. DeSimone, man. DeSimone, and he got hurt at the end of the game. You hope he's okay, but he has done extremely well for this team coming in. No one knew what to expect. He hadn't played in a month and a half by still being on his squad as a scratch defenseman, and he's coming and he's looked great. And you hope he's okay. He was holding his hand or holding his arm there, so you hope that injury is not too serious. But you really like to see that from DeSimone, and he's really earned that chance and that right to get a contract, a 2-way contract from the Devils in this offseason to potentially, listen, if there's some injuries again on defense next year, let's knock on wood. Hopefully there isn't. But if there is, he could be that next guy up in the AHL or that 7th defenseman, assuming Brendan Smith will not be on this team next year. And not for nothing, I know Brendan Smith's time was limited this game. He had the penalty kill time, played well. He played well, too, 5-on-5. The time that he got on the ice tonight, he had a couple good pinches, a couple good moments at the blue line where he stole away some pucks, created some turnovers. So you love to see that, too. Everybody played like crap last night against the Senators. So you go into this game, you think that we're going to get absolutely dominated. And like the Devils season has gone with the inconsistency, of course, we get our first shutout of the year. Let's jump into some comments here. Thank you guys once again for jumping in. See you guys on YouTube as well. Lee dropped the gloves first, and Timo gets the instigator, please. So this is where we're going to talk about the NHL rules a little bit. Adam and I have gone back and forth. There can't be black and white areas, no gray areas. No gray areas. It has to be black and white when it comes to the actual rules and the officials in this game. So listen, I absolutely hate the 10-minute misconduct rule after you initiate a fight, after a big hit. So you see Nico get hit like that. I've been wanting this all year. I think all Devil fans have wanted this all year. We have been softer. We have been known around the league, I think, to be a softer team. And guys have taken a run at Nico plenty, taken runs of Jack, taken runs at all our star players. So you love to see Timo, who doesn't usually get into many scraps, but he will throw that big hit occasionally, step right up for his countryman right there. He steps right up for Nico. He drops the gloves. Lee might have dropped the gloves first, but you're going to get that instigator no matter what. I understand it's going to be a 2-minute penalty, but the 10-minute misconduct is just stupid. 17 minutes off the ice where it should be 7 off the ice. I understand that more than I understand the 17. I would love to see that change one day. I don't know if it's going to be changed. I think that it's a detriment to, especially after a hit that's illegal, right? It's a match penalty for Lee. He's getting kicked out of the game, and of course your teammate's going to jump in for you there. And you want the league not to discourage fighting when it's a very fair fight and someone's obviously not going to get injured, but you want the league to discourage these hits that Lee is giving, the knee on knee, the chicken wing like we saw from Rempe, when the Devils played the Rangers and on Siegenthaler and now has a concussion. Those are the hits you want to avoid. So I like the fighting aspect of the game, and I think that's really what you have to do is you have to answer the bell. Timo came over, Lee dropped the gloves, he fought, he knew it was coming, fought him. Give Timo the extra 2, fine, but don't give him that 10 misconduct. I hate that rule. I always have hated that rule, and I hope it changes. Dennis, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining. If you tell me Kappa would get the only NJD, New Jersey Devils shutout this season, yeah, listen, season's not over yet. Maybe we'll get another shutout, but it's crazy to think about. It's absolutely nuts to think that we're this deep into the season. It is the first shutout, but more importantly, I don't think anybody thought that Vitek and Akira would not be playing at the NHL level for the Devils. Akira down in Utica, who's been playing a lot better, down in the AHL, and Vitek now in San Jose. I don't think anybody thought this was going to happen. It's a breath of fresh air to have Allen play as well as he's been playing, and for Kakinen to come in here and actually shut out the Islanders when we're in desperation mode. Let's call it what it is. Every single one of these games now is must win. And we're going to have to play this Maple Leafs team starting on Tuesday 3 times for the rest of the year. It's pretty crazy in the schedule, but it's must win games, so put up or shut up. We have the offensive ability, we have the talent up front, we have the core, but you want to see games like this more often. You want to see games where we respond physically the way we did. Clutterbuck was throwing his body around. Ball was getting into it with him too, which I like to see. He's another guy to me, that's not on the score sheet, but he had a really strong game. He was very strong on the puck. And that's the polar opposite of this team. Last night, we were horrific on the puck. And I mean turnover after turnover. And I love that Jesper Bratt said we were playing east to west. We were trying to be too pretty with the puck. You're not going north to south. You're going to get beat every time. Any NHL team is going to beat you if you're not north to south. You try to be pretty with the puck. So I love that Jesper Bratt said that. And it was a complete polar opposite game today, which is crazy to think about because, again, coming off back-to-backs, we have been atrocious on the latter half. So, you love to see it. Steven, what's going on, man? Don't get your hopes up. The 2 wildcard teams that play 2 less games. No, listen, I think we had a 4.5% chance to make the playoffs before this game started. Of course not. We're realists here, but we're also diehard Devils fans, right? So we're always going to hold on to that little threshold of hope until we're completely mathematically out of it. But of course, a lot of things need to happen. The Red Wings continue to need to struggle. The Islanders continue to need to struggle. But more importantly, all of a sudden, the Capitals are playing great hockey, and they need to fall a little bit too. And listen, they have a tough schedule coming up as well. So we've seen crazier things. The Philadelphia Flyers too. They're overachieving obviously this year. But again, I agree with you. We can't all assume that it's going to be we just win 7-2-1 in these last 10 games we're going to get in. It's going to be almost impossible if we're 6-3-1, so 7-2-1 I don't think is going to get us in. 8-1-1 I think we would have a shot. So there's a lot of work to do here, but I think now we're looking for the overall picture going into the offseason is who's going to be on this Devils roster and what do we need to do to improve and to be a shoo-in. That's right, I'm saying shoo-in for the playoffs because there's way too much damn talent on this team to not be a playoff team. Period. And I think it goes back to, again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. December, if we got a goalie, and I put this on Fitz before I put on Ruff, and I know a lot of you guys out there disagree with me, but I'm more blaming Fitz for the way this roster was constructed than I am blaming Lindy Ruff for what he did behind the bench. I thought Lindy Ruff was very good for this Devils team, and you saw it last year. Record number of points. I know he lost Bruno to Nashville, and Nashville's on a heater. I get it, but I think that Fitz was to blame for the construction of this roster and not really focusing that attention to detail and hoping and big time gambling on goaltending. And we lost. For all you craps players out there, if you play craps, he crapped out immediately. He rolled a 7 immediately, and that was that. And you look back on it when in December when we had the chance to get a goalie at a lesser price, we didn't do it. And I wonder if we win 5 to 8 more games right there, we're solid in the third spot in the Metro in a playoff position. Again, all hindsight now, and you look at these last 10 games, and it's just a matter of playing solid. You want to eliminate the defensive miscues, which obviously you saw tonight compared to last night, which were all, oh, excuse me. Yeah, last night against Centers, which was awful. So it's a tale of two games, and it's a tale of two teams. This doesn't even look like the team that played last night, and it's the common theme is we are consistently inconsistent. We are Jekyll and Hyde. Out of my many, many, many years of being a Devils season ticket holder, I have never seen a season like this with all the injuries, with the McLeod situation, obviously, with all the line juggling, with the firing of a coach, with the horrific goaltending. I've never seen a season like this. And I don't think we're going to see a season like this, to be honest with you, ever again in the Devils organization. This was a one off where it was just absolutely insane, all the adversity the organization has faced. Dennis, it's frustrating because they obviously have the talent, but don't bring their A game often enough. Yeah, that's where you talk about the coaching, right? And this is something we're going to get, Adam and I are definitely going to get more into, especially when the season ends, because then we're going to know if Sullivan's not coming back as the Pittsburgh coach. Then we're going to know what Berube wants to do. Then we're going to know if maybe Quenneville's even an option. Then we're going to know if Dineen might even be an option. I tweeted this out a while ago. I don't even want Green in the conversation, even though I know he will be because of the connection that he has with Fitz. There's connections with Berube. Obviously, Brodeur knows him. Sullivan is the guy that I'm really targeting. And again, it's because of how he develops players, but he doesn't take any crap either. Berube is the guy that will be very no one's like Torts. I don't even want to say like Torts, but he is going to be similar in his style of coaching, and he is not going to take any of this crap from any of the team. And I wonder how much goes into it organizationally speaking. Like, does Fitz have conversations with Jack Hughes because he's, the face of the organization? Does he have conversations with the core players, about who they think might be the best fit? I hope not. We talk about the analytical department too, is something we're going to speak on as the season goes on. It comes to its conclusion and in the off season. I don't know how much involved Fitz is with the analytic department and what will take precedent in deciding what kind of contracts happen in the off season as well. But once we get to that point, it's going to be interesting what this Devil team does at the head coach position and who's let go on the staff. Personally, clean house. To me, clean house, fresh slate. Let the new head coach come in here and really dictate who his assistants are going to be. And I think that's the way to go. I think that this team needs a complete retooling, not rebuilding at all, retooling. And will they make a big splash and trade one of those core guys to get another big name player across the league that's going to bring that different culture mentality? Or is it just going to be the coach? Which could be fine. It could be fine that it's just the coach. You get a number one goalie in here and you get a number one D-man, and that can change a lot, Yesterday was miserable. Team was asleep. Yeah, I don't even know. Yesterday was, I think it might have been the worst game I saw the Devils play. I don't know if you guys remember the Red Wings game where we lost 4-0. That was the worst before last night. But last night, this Ottawa Senators team is the worst statistical team goaltending wise, and we had 4 damn shots in the first period. 4 shots against an Ottawa team that is terrible defensively and goaltending wise. And it's inexcusable. And it goes back to this exact comment. It's the immaturity of the team. You have to know you're fighting for your lives. The urgency needs to be there in the first period against an Ottawa Senators team that is a bottom feeder. You should be beating the ever-living hell out of them in the first period with the amount of talent you have. And don't get me wrong, the Senators have some offensive ability, obviously. Brady Tkachuk is a phenomenal player. But you cannot have 4 shots on goal against the Senators and expect to come out of there with a victory. It goes back to chasing the game, right? We've chased so many games this year, and we've talked ad nauseum about teams in history that have not scored the first goal the way we have. We can't score the first goal. It just comes down to it. Obviously, tonight's different. We're not chasing the game. The fact, again, that we're above 500 is insane to me. It's insane to me because I think we've scored 22 in 22 games. We scored the first goal. That's ludicrous. It's just ludicrous. The percentage is ludicrous. So the fact that we're even competitive and still a long way away from the playoffs. We're a bubble team. The fact we're a bubble team is insane if you really think about it. Yeah, the loss it killed us. It's a different feeling after this win. Obviously, if you won last night, then you're on a streak, which we haven't put together all year. Then you're on a streak, and you have a very very different feeling going into Tuesday against the Maple Leafs, which is going to be a very difficult place to play. But again, we got to build off this win. That's all we can do. We're going to look game to game. We have to move forward. It's 4-0 victory, our first shutout of the year. I really want to stress that Kakinen was absolutely incredible tonight. The fact that he shut it down with 37 saves is a testament to the question marks that we had of Fitz bringing in these goaltenders when he didn't get the Markstrom that I think he wanted. It's a great feeling that Allen has played the way he has, and that Capo Kakinen came in tonight and he had a shutout. So, they are turning out to be good trades. We're going to see obviously what happens. In the off season, we assume that Allen is going to be the backup, and I think Kakinen will sign with a different team. Morgan, what's going on, man? Thanks for the comment. Even if Holtz Mercer become what we hope, they're still our fifth or sixth best forwards. Jack, Nico, Timo, Bratt, an elite starting goalie, or a fifth, sixth forward. Fitz get the goalie. Yeah, no, Fitz is going to get the goalie. Listen, it comes down to this. It comes down to what Mercer's contract will look like if he's going to be a Devil moving forward. I think that you're going to see something like 4 years, $4 million. I think that is a fair deal, and I think that Fitz would sign up for it. I think that Mercer's side is going to want more than that, like a 5.25 over 5 years. I don't think he's going to get it. Maybe if it's a little more front loaded, he would. Maybe with more incentives, maybe with more. It's just hard to know because Mercer might be a target for a lot of teams out there in a big trade. And depending on what the return is, he's not off the table, right? I know a lot of fans love Holtz too, but he's definitely on the table. Same with Seamus Casey, one of probably our best prospect. He's on the table. So if we can get we can get Olmark, for Holtz, Casey, and a first, we're doing it, and that I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're not going to go into next season thinking that Jake Allen's going to be our number one goalie and that we're going to sign Kakinen, to a 3-4 year deal. It's just not going to happen. Steven, what's up, man? I'm pretty sure no one cares, but in 2 years we'll have Philman and Gritzik here. Yeah, Gritzik is a phenomenal prospect. And, Adam and I are going to jump into, who we like in the prospect pool for us. What sucks is Nolan Foote hasn't even played. He's so injury riddled, and it's so frustrating. I feel so bad for the kid. I really do. But we're going to jump into the prospects a little bit more, obviously, in the offseason. Who would be a target from other GMs around the league if a big trade is going to happen? Gritzik is going to be a guy that he is going to be a target for a lot of teams. He's making a lot of noise, and I think that a lot of teams are going to ask for him. And I wonder who Fitz will counter with if it's not him. So we'll find out. We'll see. Enjoyed the New York Islanders 3 guys collision, which led to the Jack scoring. Yeah, hats off to Jesper Bratt on that because he ducked under that as well. Jesper Bratt skating through the center of the ice there, in our defensive zone. 3 guys colliding. It's Patrick Waugh looked so pissed off there. It was kind of funny to me. He looked so angry after that because it was pretty bad. It's great. It's the Islanders and not us, right? But yeah, no, it's Jack's and he shot. He shot first, didn't look for that pretty pass. He saw on the long side there that he had an opening. Past Sorokin, who has been struggling, and he buried it. And those are the things that you want to see. All right, so jumping into some of these other comments. Again, I really appreciate you guys jumping in here. Makes it a lot it makes it a lot more exciting, and just to hear what you guys are thinking too. And I want to hear out there how optimistic any of you are that the Devils actually somehow pull an 8-1-1 record in the last 10. I don't know if it's possible. Listen, again, I'm of the hope that if we're not mathematically eliminated, these games still are going to matter, even if we are eliminated. But it's going to show the character of a lot of these young players, a lot of this core. And this is a big learning experience for this group, too. Hughes, have a seat. Coach Q, Berube, or Sully, all will do it. You talking about Jack Hughes, or you talking about Luke Hughes, JP? I can see Jack Hughes getting benched a period by, those coaches. I don't know if he would actually be benched for a game. I mean, you see with Torts, with Couturier out there as captain in Philadelphia. He didn't care. He did it. I love that. I'm an old school mentality. you're playing like crap. I don't care if you're a captain, you're a leader. So you got to figure it out one way or the other. If you're not going to be on the score sheet, you're going to play well defensively. You're going to play hard on the boards. So he's holding his players accountable. And a lot of people don't remember, but Lindy Ruff held his players accountable early too. Timo was struggling. He sat Timo for a period. Marino was struggling. He sat Marino. He didn't play either. So, there was accountability from the Ruff camp as well. I just think that we all know it was time for a change, which happened. Probably a little too late, but here we are. Ottawa and Edmonton tied at 3. Yeah, the Senators. Listen, the Senators are a weird team. The Senators, another underachieving team this year that have a lot of star capabilities, and they just crap the bed again because of goaltending. And we know it all too well. They've been falling behind a lot too. So, Dennis, if Nashville stays competitive going into the playoffs, it may make Saros unlikely to be moved. Maybe they have a very, very, very good young goaltender right behind Saros. So don't forget about that. Jim Moravors, what's going on here? What am I missing? There's a lot going on here. But overall, this game too, it's what I like to see with Luke Hughes. I've been tough on Luke Hughes at times. Adam has kind of told me I'm tough on Luke Hughes, and that's his guy. So he had a very, very tough month, month and a half. And again, it's from hitting that rookie brick wall, which happens, and to see him rebound the way he has 3 of the last 4 games, because he wasn't good last night, like all the players on the ice, no one was good last night. But tonight, again, he had a very strong game. And I look for the board battles. I look for the puck movement. I look for the quick passes up ice and through the neutral zone. And then more importantly is when he's closing in front of Kakinen tonight, how our defense is playing, where they're throwing the puck, if it's in the center of the ice. I didn't see lazy, silly passes from the boards into the middle of the ice. I saw a lot of board play. I saw a lot of wheeling the puck around. And those are the things you want to see. And I think Luke Hughes is growing and understanding more from that. So it's again, he was my player in the Winnipeg game. I thought that he had a phenomenal game as one of the best players on the ice. I love that Luke Hughes is shooting the puck as well, something we haven't talked about a lot. He is shooting the puck consistently, and that's what he needs to do. He is going to be that offensive type of defenseman, very similar to the way Quinn Hughes plays. He needs to be that guy, and he needs to shoot the puck and find the lanes. He's starting to find the lanes, and he's starting to understand different ways different teams will play against him. They're going to pressure him up on the blue line when he's in the offensive zone if he's the quarterback of that power play. They're going to pressure him. That's why you see the rotation on the power play a little quicker. That's why you see Jack Hughes switching wings a lot quicker. That's why you might see Timo Meier actually coming around to the wing before he goes back in front of the net. So there have been adjustments made on the coaching side for the power play, which you love to see, which I think has opened it up for Luke when he's being pressured on that blue line. But again, he has a lot to learn being a quarterback of a power play, and it's where Dougie Hamilton will be that mentor for him, because we sure as hell miss Dougie Hamilton on that power play. Spirit in the sky, good to talk to you. I hope, but at this point, just a strong finish. Yeah, that's it. Listen, we go 7-2-1. We missed the playoffs. You're going to be happy with the last 10 games. It sucks as a Devils fans. We're not going to be in the playoffs, but we're 7-2-1, right? Even 6-3-1, but if there's strong games and we lose 1 or 2 to the Leafs in competitive games, we lose the Rangers, as much as that will suck. And I know that we all want to beat the Rangers on the 3rd. We have to go in looking at the positives, because it's been a crappy season overall. It has been so inconsistent. It is so frustrating. But again, this is what it comes down to. The last 10 games, let's show some fire and urgency, and let's play with a chip on our shoulder. Nah, Torts was wrong for scratching, especially since he didn't talk to the media that day. Yeah, Morgan, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I think that Torts has a complete control of that locker room. I think that the way the new NHL is, I think it's softer. It's Dubinsky when he was on Columbus and he was the Rangers, and when Torts was his coach, he didn't like it either. He made some comments that he didn't like it. I think this is accountability, and I think this is Torts saying, when my team has a terrible few games, Couturier is the leader. He is the captain. If he is playing as bad, if not worse, than the other 19 guys that are on the ice at the moment, 20 guys that are on the ice, you scratch him, you're sending a message. And again, we don't know what's going on in that locker room in Philadelphia, but from seeing the tape and seeing the YouTube of the past of how he is and how passionate he is with his guys, he holds them accountable. So again, Morgan, I respectfully disagree with you on this, but I don't mind it. I really don't. Canes and Panthers are up against scoreless Leafs and Flyers. Yeah, keep me updated on that, Dennis, by the way. I'm curious to see how this scoreboard unfolds before we finish this live. Again, thank you guys so much for jumping in. I really appreciate, all the comments, all the views, over on YouTube, over on Twitter, and over on Instagram. Keep them coming. What's with the brick wall at the blue line? Luke Hughes isn't allowed to cross when rushing the puck on the power play. So back in the day, that was called the dump and play, which I hate. On the power play, which is stupid, silly to me. It's very predictable. You saw it get exposed against the Senators. It's a common thing you do with rookie defensemen that are learning how to quarterback a power play. And it's I think it's done because they don't want Luke to be put in a pressure situation where he could potentially turn the puck over extremely easy coming up the ice by making a silly pass, to the blue line, when Brat per se is basically at the blue line waiting for the puck to get in. We're not the type of team with the grit and with the physicality right now that we can do dump and chase. We cannot dump the puck in on a power play and hope that our forwards are going to get behind the net, close off, puck manage, and get it back to the point consistently. So that's why you're really seeing that with Luke dumping it back to Jack, who is fast as all hell on the power play one. That's why you see it, because at the end of the day, coaching staff's going to want Jack Hughes, who is extremely fast, along with Luke Hughes, to skate that puck in. And once he gets over the blue line, dump it back to the point where it's going to be Brat, and then they're going to set up that power play coming back to Luke at the point. Morgan, jumping back into Torts. Yeah, but Torts didn't have the accountability to answer the media. The day he scratched his captain, he sent out his assistant coach who had to say, yeah, I don't know, it was Torts' call. Yeah, he didn't want to talk about it. He has a weird relationship with the media too there, especially after everything that happened with the Hayes situation. He doesn't even take questions from that one reporter. And the first reporter is the one who first asked about Couturier when Torts came there. And he said, I don't want to talk about Sean. And I think a lot of that has to do with the actual reporter asking it right away. Listen, I understand. And I definitely hear your opinion on it. I know that you want some accountability for Torts there, that if you're going to scratch your captain, tell us why you scratched your captain. And that's why a lot of people like Patrick Waugh with the Islanders, because he straight up, I forget who the player was, but he straight up said, listen, he didn't have a great game. I got to see a lot more from him. He needs a night off. He's going to watch up in the press box, and he's going to see the game from there and take a step back. And I think that's what Green did with Nemitz the first time that the first game that he coached, is to give him a break and to see the game from a higher position and actually see the entire ice and see positionally what he needs to do by watching his teammates on the ice. And I think Nemitz has recovered well from it. I don't think he's really taken a step back after he was scratched. I would have loved to see Luke scratched, but listen, it doesn't matter, because after he hit that brick wall, he's had solid games for the last 5. So, Green's doing something right. Again, I don't think that he should be a candidate to be the coach after this year. But you look at this game in totality, this is the kind of game you have to see. This is the response game you have to see after abysmal game against the Senators. And to me, that was close to the nail in the coffin when it comes to the playoffs. But the Devils keep sucking you right back in. So you're telling me there's a chance. There is a chance. A hell of a difficult one, but there still is a chance, and we're playing meaningful hockey still, and you'll love to see that just from a fan perspective. Going back to, I want to jump back to the Holtz situation, because there's been 2 guys, especially toward the beginning of the season, that were under the microscope. One was Alexander Holtz, and on defense, the other one was Brendan Smith. So I think we all can agree that Holtz, especially on Twitter space, I think all you guys know out there that Holtz is a topic of conversation that is continuous. I like Alexander Holtz. I do not think that he deserves to be on a top 2 line. I want to put that out there now, because I think that he needs to develop his game on the defensive side of the puck. However, I do like that he is where he is now in the opportunity to succeed. I think he can flourish right now, and he can build that confidence, and he can continue to learn. His 200-foot game has struggled mightily before this game. He has been pretty bad when it comes to puck management, giving up the pucks, turnovers in the neutral zone consistently, and just bad passes. That does not mean I do not like Alexander Holtz. I think Alexander Holtz needs that time to learn with a new coaching staff, whether it's here, whether it's with a different team. A lot of people don't think that he has any trade value now. I absolutely unequivocally disagree with that. The fact that this kid had limited ice time and he's pushing toward 20 goals this year is incredible. And there's a lot to uncover from this kid and what this kid can do. And his ceiling is very high. Whether he can even start to climb toward his ceiling is yet to be seen because there is a lot of untapped potential with him. However, he could have a lot of regression too. His game could be even worse defensively. He could potentially not grow defensively. So any team that takes Holtz on, if it's in a trade in the future, whatever team he signs with, this kid is growing at a very different pace than you saw Jesper Bratt grow at, that you saw Nico Hischier grow at, obviously. So when people put, the top players in our top 6 forwards with Alexander Holtz, I don't think it's fair to do that. I don't think he is that caliber of player. I think he potentially could get to that caliber of player, but he's not there right now. And I think it's extreme on both sides, to the Holtz lovers and to the Holtz haters. There's so many extreme opinions, and that I think it really does fall somewhere in the middle in that gray area. I think for anybody who's played hockey can see and is always talked about, coaching staff is always going to tell you your defense matters so much. We know you could score goals. But your defense matters, especially if you're not like Jack Hughes, especially if you're not like Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt and like Timo Meier. Your defense is going to give you more ice time. And you see that with Alexander Holtz, and you see that and you saw that with Lindy Ruff. And now he's getting the chance because of the position we're in, because of a lot of injuries, and because we really don't have a true third or fourth line. You're seeing him get that opportunity with Jack Hughes as well, too. In some games. And listen, I root for the kid so much. I think that he is a good kid. I love that he's smiling at every intermission interview. It seems like he has a positive attitude. Again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I'm sure he's happy Lindy Ruff is gone too. Florida 3, Philadelphia nothing. So as it stands right now, we will be 5 points out of the wild card and 6 points, correct me if I'm wrong, out of the third in Metro. So long way to go. Damn, if we had made a move even a month. Yeah, it's one move could have changed this team, and again, it goes back to goaltending. I think we had a chance to get Markstrom, and he was pissed off because, Conroy didn't make the trade to the Devils. I think that he just wanted a little bit more because Markstrom was like, I'm ready to go. Send me away. I will approve a trade to the Devils. And it looks like he denied a trade to LA at the deadline too. So we had a chance to get him, and you wonder what this team would have looked like. Maybe we're a point out, from third in the Metro. Maybe we're in that second wild card. But it's what it is now, right? It's hindsight again is 2020. We're always going to think about that. We're always going to talk about that. I'm going to flip it here, and I'm going to be like Ken Danigo says on the broadcast. I'm going to be a glass half full type of guy for a minute. This season has sucked. Let me preface it by saying that. It sucked with everything that's gone on and the inconsistency. I really hope that this team, this core, grows from this season because it is abysmal, for them to go in as top 5 team in the NHL preseason, as a cup contender, to now most likely missing the playoffs. So I really hope this team learns and understands and grows from this adversity because you crap the bed. You're kind of the laughing stock of a lot of teams going in there that thought you were going to be extremely tough to play against. And you see that you're not, and that's the tough thing for Devils fans is that you're competitive against some of the best teams in the league and you lose to Anaheim twice. You lose to San Jose. You lose to the Senators. You lose to Columbus. That's 10 points I just said right there. That should be wins. That should be 10 points that we're banked on right there. And we should be in a playoff spot. And again, you could blame goaltending too. I blame goaltending number one. I think that's the biggest issue. But you also have a lot of leaky defense in a lot of games. And if you look at the Senators game last night, horrific. Everybody on the ice was terrible. And Green said it best. There was not one good thing that one player did. Everybody played terribly. And take accountability. Take responsibility for who you are as a player, as an individual, and more so the team effort. You got to play for these guys. You play for each other. And that's why I absolutely love Timo Meier. He's one of my favorite Devils, and he was when he got the extension. And I know people were so frustrated for his play, and he was definitely injured. But he's one of my favorite Devils because of what he did against the Rangers. He didn't have points against the Rangers in the playoffs, and he was a physical force. And it's another reason why I like Kevin Ball, because he was a physical force on the boards and he won puck battles. And you see what Timo is doing now and how he can score goals by getting in those dirty areas, by creating opportunities from big hits. It's what he does, and I think that I'm pretty sure he has 12 goals in 13 his last 13 games, something like that. So, Timo is absolutely incredible, and he's going to be great for this team. I really wasn't worried. It was upsetting, that he was playing terribly, but he looks like he's not injured anymore. He's healthy and he's rolling. So, so to sum up, thank you guys again for joining on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. Devils beat the Islanders 4-0 in Long Island. A very, very good game. Defensively, Kakinen was absolutely incredible. He is playing for a contract, and he really wants to get some good numbers in the offseason. I don't think he'll be a Devil, but, we've seen crazier thing with Fitz. So, this offseason for him is going to be absolutely crucial for his career with the Devils. We'll see what happens. Yeah, no, it's in the NHL, Ted. Yeah, absolutely right. Timo scored the most goals in March. He's phenomenal right now. He scored, I think, by 2 or 3. I think he has 12 or 13. Correct me there, Ted, if you know those stats off the top of your head. But he's been absolutely incredible. Yeah, we need to be more physical and strong on the puck. That's been the story of the year. It's when the NHL knows that you're not going to be that tough team. They're going to throw big hits against your star players like Jack and Nico. And we've seen Nico get a lot of big hits thrown his way. We've seen Luke get hit big time. Luke needs to get a little bit bigger and get in the weight room and really develop, and he will, And he went all out on his helmet. Who was that? Timo? Yo, Timo and Lee, yeah, they were punching each other's helmets, which kind of happens often. I know from personal experience from breaking my boxer bone a few times playing hockey and now having some pins in my hand. But it's it's part of the game, right? It's part of the game, knowing and understanding when it's time to answer the bell. And I think all of us are looking forward to Rempe and McDermott. Hopefully he is healthy when the Devils take on the Rangers, especially after I saw something on the internet that Rempe may or may not have signed a Nate Bastian hurt photo after Bastian had left that game. So that has to be more motivation just for McDermott to get back on the ice and beat the ever-living hell out of Rempe. And I think we all hope to see it. But I appreciate you guys again. Thank you for jumping on the post-game live here. I'm Danny with Devil's Puck Luck. Adam's going to be on with me shortly this coming week. We're going to talk a lot about what may happen in the offseason, what to look forward to these last 10 games, and that final push. I'm trying not to scoreboard watch as much. I'm trying not to worry about other teams because, remember, there's a lot of 3-point games that could potentially happen with the Capitals playing the Wings and things like that. So we just got to focus on each game. And now the big test is the Leafs on Tuesday. Then we have Buffalo on Friday. These are very, very big games, and to see that urgency that the Devils are going to bring. So again, I appreciate all you guys jumping on. Thanks for all the comments, all the questions. Once again, if you're not already on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can find us on Twitter at NJDevilsPL. And on all of the social media, even on TikTok, on Snapchat, we're all over at Devil's Puck Luck. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for jumping in. Make sure that you follow, like, and subscribe. And we will see you very soon. Danny, checking out.